Welcome back to our listeners and readers. This is another collaboration with the FIU Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator and Inspicio Arts Magazine. Want to welcome in again, and a pleasure to always be talking to Professor Raymond Ray Ellman. Welcome in.
Thanks, Maggie, and it's a pleasure to be talking with you again.
Likewise. Well, today there's no piano behind me. I'm actually still in, this is the background in my kitchen, those asking. You know, we've all been forced through the pandemic to create new workspaces. So this is what my pod looks like. I want to start briefly because we have a very interesting guest and one that has made a world of difference, not only for Florida International University, as you see, the Green Family Foundation name throughout the campus, but also in our community and internationally in places like Haiti. So we're talking today about Kimberly Green, a philanthropist, writer, and documentary filmmaker. She has led the Green Family Foundation since 1997. And under her leadership, the foundation has really spearheaded a variety of initiatives, as I mentioned, not only for FIU, for Miami, and for Haiti. I guess the real question is, for those that don't know her or that know about the Family Foundation, is really, how does a 26-year-old, a Miami native, what inspires her to work and move forward this foundation at such a young age, Ray? You talked to her. Tell me a little bit about her journey.
Well, first of all, Kimberly, or as people call her also Kim, is a very vibrant woman with a wide range of interests, from the arts, which she supports in many different ways, and for seeking social justice. And she has spent a lot of time, for example, in Haiti, even before the earthquakes, trying to do things that would improve life for the average person in Haiti. So the thing that it really intrigued me was she freely admits that she is a woman of privilege. She grew up in a very wealthy family, and she went to high school in London. And so my question to her was, how does someone who went to high school in London all of a sudden at the age of 26 become the president of a family foundation, the Green Family Foundation, that has taken on many projects and initiatives in the arts and in seeking social justice? And the interesting story for me is that when she came home one summer after came home from London to her native Miami, her parents, Stephen and Dorothea Green, said to her, "You're not going to just lie around the pool all summer. You either go to summer school or you figure out some place where you can provide service." And so what came to mind for her was to intern with Head Start. And in these days before the internet existed, she couldn't do a lot of research easily. And she just assumed that she would be working in the inner city in New York City with Head Start. And instead they told her, "Oh, by the way, we're sending you to a Native American reservation in Pine Ridge, South Dakota." And at the time, you know, she had to look at a map to see where she was going. And she travels to the Native American reservation, and her boss there was a man named Roger Ironcloud. And it turns out he was one of the founders of the very activist American Indian movement, which is two of the better known names that were activists in that movement are Dennis Banks and Russell Means, both of whom were arrested many times for their activism. And those were people that she hung out with that summer. And that motivated her to be aware of and help develop initiatives that would help people who were suppressed under various kinds of circumstances. And when she started her post-college life in Miami, for her, Miami was a perfect petri dish of those kinds of circumstances, because there are so many cultures represented here. and she could easily get involved with and identify initiatives that she wanted to help in whatever way she could. And I think her parents, I didn't ask her this, but I think her parents must have recognized the seriousness of her purpose and made her the president of their foundation at the age of 26. And she's been on the go ever since. She spent a lot of time in Haiti, besides helping with initiatives that involve medical care and things like that. She's also collected a lot of Haitian art. She actually sponsored a fantastic exhibition of Haitian art after the first earthquake a few years ago at the Museum of Contemporary Art in North Miami. And the interesting thing about Haitian art in general, and that exhibition in particular, is that the artists used things that they found on the street as materials. So they would use bricks from buildings that had fallen down and paint on the bricks. And that she shows a brick that one of the artists gave her in our interview. They would also take aluminum siding that fell off buildings during the earthquake and convert that into sculpture and into musical instruments. And she talks about how innovative the Haitians were with, inventing the steel drum that's used in Caribbean music, and making flutes out of plastic piping and, things like that.
Well, that takes me to my next question. She also seems not only as somebody who has been an entrepreneur, we always like to drive the conversation that way, heading up her family foundation, and under her leadership, as you've mentioned, stating the various initiatives that she's been leading. And we see that throughout, FIU in a few different places. What about her work as a producer and director? Because that's also of interest. You talk about that? Did she mention that?
Well, I asked her about that, and she was involved with the production of a few films, but she said, I'm not really a filmmaker. I got involved because I could help support financially, but also as long as she's there, she might as well do the job of a producer and marshal the various resources that requires. And there's, in any making of any movie, there are tons of things that need to be done. And she is very good at organization. I think one of her current projects, which is very interesting and addresses entrepreneurship, is she's started something called Green Space, which is on Biscayne Boulevard, the headquarters for it, on Biscayne Boulevard, opposite the Vagabond Motel and Restaurant. And what she's trying to do is cross-pollinate art disciplines and also marry artists up with people in sciences. So artists can help create projects that build awareness for initiatives that the people in sciences are doing. And so it's interesting that when I started Inspicio Arts magazine and platform, part of my mission was to try to build bridges between the disparate arts communities in Miami. Because what I observed is that I might go to an art opening and there would just be artists there or collectors there, but there wouldn't necessarily be writers and musicians, people like that. Whereas I spent a good part of my life in the Provincetown Art Colony, where all the artists went to the poetry readings and all the visual artists went to musical performances and plays, and vice versa. All the writers showed up at the artist opening. So I was used to kind of a moving cloud almost of a united art community that supported each other and their events. And I wasn't seeing that in Miami. So I thought, oh, okay, Inspicio Arts could help accomplish that. It's not as easy in a big city as it is in a small place like Provincetown, which at most has 40 to 60,000 people at the height of the tourist season. And in the wintertime has 3,000 people. So, so it's interesting to see her actually accomplishing that. And I think it's because when you're running a foundation, there are more people that are willing to do what you say in order to have that kind of support behind them.
So I think that we can take away from this conversation that it doesn't matter what age you are. If you have that spirit in you to want to be in service, be an entrepreneur, move forward a foundation that has done a world of good. I think there really is no age, and it's, you know, it's great to be able to have her right here in our own backyard, someone who is from here, who has done, you know, tremendous work, not only, you know, financially, but also serving the community to give an opportunity, you know, for students. Because I always say, you know, foundations at the end of the day, you know, the funding matters, but I think the real story and the real, you know, spirit of those stories is that it helps so many people in the process to, you know, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether it's about social justice or the arts or music or medicine, you know, that it happens here in our community, that we build leaders that go out into the world and represent our city and represent these foundations, to me is always a story of good.
And I think everything you said is right on target with Kimberly, because from the get-go, she could help not just by helping to provide money, but helping to provide guidance on how to organize and move down the road in a positive direction. And of course, the older you get up to a point, the more experience you have, even as your energy diminishes. And the more experience you have, the more you can say, oh, I've seen people do this before, that doesn't work, or here's a path you should consider that has worked. And I've certainly seen that in my own life. I mean, the idea that young people start things, I mean, certainly the high-tech industry in Silicon Valley is a great example of how many people at a very young age created extraordinary organizations. In my own small way, when I moved to Provincetown in the winter of 1970, I started what I called the Outer Cape Repertory Film Society, showing movies because the nearest movie theater was 60 miles away, and there were 3 TV stations and no VCRs yet. So if you wanted to see a movie, I was it. and so that idea that you, at a young age, you see a need and you figure out how to fill it if you have the energy and the entrepreneurial spirit, I think is right on target.
Yeah, Ray, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We look forward to the many guests that are still going to be part of Inspicio in the coming weeks. So thank you again to Ray Ellman for sharing this space with us right here at the FIU Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie, and can't wait to see you again.
Likewise, thank you. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.